Hi, I'm Bilal Khalid. This is my submission for the Apple Case video log, ENES 464, and just basically going through a rundown of the Apple case study we were given. I found it very insightful. It actually usually when you hear about Apple, you feel like you know everything about it, and you hear so much about Steve Jobs and this and that, and about how innovative they are. But this actually gave me an in-depth description of a lot of business processes and the history of how they came to be what they are now, which is absolutely consumer electronics giant. Um, and A few things that make design innovation successful at Apple. One would be obviously user-centered design. Larry Tesler on page 8 realized that participatory design with art students gave him an idea of how um, products can be made simpler. Another thing about Apple's design innovation is they come up with the design first based on the perception of the end user, and then they engineer for success by building the design. Um, they have very clear demarcations and little complication from other parts of the business, such as supply chain and marketing, when it comes to research and development and design. They give the user everything they want by removing everything that they do not need to make that happen. For example, they removed floppy disk drives from Mac computers, and this showed consumers that they could store data on other devices and not have to require floppy disks to store everything. And the elegant products that they make complicated processes and goals much simpler. For example, the original iPods could only play music, but no one else had been able to create such an item or had the same design sense. And This is what separated Apple, is that they could engineer a product that gave the user a simple task, but not use any kind of conventional method to bring that about. As a consumer of Apple products, a couple of suggestions I could possibly throw out there to change Apple's approach to design or innovation would be things like user questionnaires. For example, if I visit apple.com or anybody else does that, I can take a survey or give them ideas on things that I would like to see in the future as a consumer. I can tell them what I think of certain tasks in my life that products can make simpler, things of that nature. Another idea I have for innovation is, instead of taking a task like listening to music or communicating with someone using a computer and engineering products that make those tasks as simple as possible for a user, is that perhaps Apple could even innovate processes and that users never knew they could need or have, and create products or add to existing products that give users those capabilities. Um, of course, that's a very vague way to describe what I'm saying. An example I would have would be music software, such as something that could guide users on how to play the piano using their computer, or maybe a physical attachment to an instrument like a guitar that teaches them notes and chord progressions. So, like I said, just things that end users do not um, know is possible, but engineering products in that way, instead of coming up with simple tasks like listening to music or um, communicating through a chat and giving them that using your product. Um, and lastly, there are lessons for entrepreneurs that Steve Jobs set examples for. Um, One would be simplifying as much as possible. If Page 6 describes how Steve Jobs returned to Apple in 1997 and stopped licensing. He stopped the licensing program, eliminated 70% of new projects, shut down facilities, changed distribution methods, and launched a website for direct sales. So he also revived the original design, development, and execution, as well as marketing that Apple had before he left. So he basically went back to how things were when he was there and it was successful, and he ended all the unnecessary parts of the business that had come about that he really didn't see fit. And sometimes you need that. You need the simplification, um, and you need to. It makes things more clear as to what direction you should head in, and how your business should work together. Um, Innovate as much as you possibly can on your own and stay in house as much as possible is another lesson that he can teach future entrepreneurs. Not only does it work out cheaper for your business, but it will also make sure that you do not enter unnecessary agreements and ventures such as the licensing program or such as the way Apple distributed its products before Steve Jobs came back. When there are things you can take care of within your own firm if you just try to come up with the process yourself. Page 7 mentions how Apple incorporated a philosophy of being tight lipped about their practices and new products to the public and outsiders. That's another lesson as to how, when you basically work with the team, you can come up with the right way to do things on your own. Um, and that's always how you want your business to be run ideally. Um, and You need to also um, always think from the consumer's perspective. The way that he handled user-centered design and the way he opened his products to different markets, whether he was making products for education solutions, business solutions, or the general public, made it much easier for him to simplify and streamline his company's work in regard to those products. And the last thing I have to say about Steve Jobs is that he took the initiative to innovate himself instead of relying on the rest of his team to handle his dirty work. Um, he always put himself at the center of every issue Apple dealt with, and that's what made him so knowledgeable of business processes and ideas that create new things for consumers. And the way he did that is probably what led to him taking the business in the direction that it's headed in for the past 10 years or so. And that brings to a conclusion what I have to say about Apple's design processes, Steve Jobs' entrepreneurship skills, and um, basic ideas that someone like myself could generate to give to Apple for design and innovation. So I'm happy that I learned a lot based on how Apple does things, and I hope to see what others have to say about the same topics. So that's me signing off. Thank you.